Join us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm still wearing a head wrap because no, my hair cannot be seen in public. How's everybody doing? We are back after my mini hiatus. My brother had a good birthday. I ate food that I couldn't finish, but I am back for my, guess what this is, everybody? This is the 20th. This is the 20th episode of the Justice is Here podcast. This is monumental. I'm glad that Ashton could join me this evening. We're going to get right to it after I do some pay of the bills here quickly. Remember to visit the Justice is Here. The Justice is Here. Lord have mercy. The Justice for All Party website at justiceforall.us. That is justiceforall.us. One more time, justiceforall.us. Learn about the party, its platform, and you can also make a donation. Hit that subscribe button. We are to 375, which means we're 25 away from 400, which means my math is not good, but I'm hoping it's 625 away from 1,000. We can do this before December. I have faith. And everybody watching, hit that subscribe button. Subscribing is literally free, doesn't cost you anything. Once I figure it out, the Justice is Here podcast is also on TikTok. You can follow Justice is Here on Blue Sky. One day I'll figure out Instagram, and you can follow Justice is Here podcast on Instagram. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, mark your calendar, Saturday, August the 30th at 6 p.m. Join us for the JFA Fundraising-A-Thon. We will have special guests, entertainment, and learn how you can get involved in the JFA and help us to raise $25,000 in one night. And speaking of our great talent show, do you sing, play an instrument, or have some other unsung talent that you're just wanting to get it out there? If you're dedicated to seeing the JFA grow, be a part of our fundraiser. Our goal is to raise $25,000 for the work of GFA. Lend your talent by following that link. There is a form for you to fill out. The deadline for inclusion is August the 10th. August the 10th is the deadline, so be sure to fill that form. Here is the special announcement I promised today. I'm having a book giveaway this episode. This episode, I will be giving one copy away of Dr. West's new book, Democracy Matters. I'll be asking one question. First person in the comments that gets it right, I will send them the book. And final promise, this is the last announcement. Help us to get 75 likes and 45 shares. That helps us to get the message of the JFA out there. And Ashton, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Ashton,
I'm glad
can
to
you
be
hear
on.
me?
I can. Can you not hear me?
You are coming in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, now you're better. I don't know what happened. You just froze there for a second.
Okay. Can you hear me all right now? I hope. No? Let's see. Let me just check what the settings were. Maybe they're... How's that? Is that better? No? Okay. Okay, how's that?
Okay, now I can hear you just fine. How are you doing this
All right.
evening?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm glad to be on again. And yeah, it's I've yeah, I'm just happy to be here. You know.
That is so great. Well, we've got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about the work of the JFA. We are now, and I promise you guys, I will try not to go on my rant. I will say, I promise I'm going to save it for tomorrow in Tracy's weekend review. But it's going to be hard for me. It's going to be real hard for me because they out here, they playing in your face. They playing in your face, and I can't take it no more. That's why I joined the Justice for All party, because I'm tired of being people, these two parties playing in my face. I'm like, y'all do the same things, and you sit here and blame each other when you could literally stop taking. See, I said I wasn't going to do that. Not going to do that. I don't know what's wrong with your connection, Ashton, but it keeps like going in and out.
Okay. I'm not sure. Let me see.
Okay. Tell us about what you've been up to in terms of JFA.
So I'm the archive secretary, so I keep all the documents together, and I also do the meeting minutes for all the various things. I've been organizing a lot of the meetings. For at the Washington level, we meet every 2 weeks and discuss policy and what's happening here in Washington specifically, and what's happening nationally. But yeah, my official capacity is just keeping track of what all is going on with the documents, like the bylaws, and we use Robert's rules, so we keep track of all that and make that available to the team.
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams, and I'm going to set this question up, 4 years ago when I organized the Medicare for All March, if somebody had told me, oh, you're going to be a part of a new political party, I probably would have just laughed in their face and like, are you serious? Did you ever think you would get to this point?
No, I really didn't. I thought I would be very comfortable where I was at, just uh, not, maybe a follower, but not getting involved at this level. So I'm thrilled that I took the initiative to be a part of this, because it's been so wonderful.
I wish I could say I was happy, because I still think I'm so unqualified because the work that it takes. I just thought, oh, this would just be so much fun, just like the campaign. This is way harder than I thought. Way harder, way more work, way harder. I never thought I would be at this point. Never ever did I think, oh, start a new political party. Yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, the senators and our administration
You
are
might
not.
want to go out and then come back in, because you
Okay.
keep freezing up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so while Ashton does that, I'm going to start talking about again. I literally did. If you had told me 4 years ago, hey, Tracy, you're going to be helping start a new political party, there's no way I had this in mind. No way, no how. I didn't think it's possible. I didn't think it was on the board. I was just happy, working to get Medicare for All, the law of the land. And that's what I was going to do. And that led me to saying, I was no longer going to support a candidate that wouldn't make Medicare for All a part of their policy. That led to me joining the Green Party, getting involved with Dr. West's campaign. Once he announced his departure from Green Party, I continued to follow on with the campaign. Once the campaign was over, then it came this announcement that the new party was starting. And here I am, starting a new political party, making sure that it keeps the standards that the platform kind of set out. And I just don't know how many times I can say I did not think I would be at this point. The fact that we have a convention date set, we actually have a date. We went from Dr. West saying, yeah, I'm going to start a new party to this. I mean, how far we've come, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, can you hear me all right now?
Now, Ashton, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right. Yeah, so just to follow up on that, yeah, the one, I would say that our Congress and our administration are not all that qualified either. So might as well get in there and figure out how all this works. And, it's part of our civic responsibility to participate at some level. And this just seems like a continuation of what we were wanting to accomplish with the Cornell West campaign. And my understanding is that we, could continue working with that platform and with the values that we've already established with that. And it's cut and dry for me.
It wasn't for me. I struggled because after my podcast was done, I was done. I'm like, I've done everything I can. Let's wrap this thing up. And then I heard, of course, Dr. West say, this is not a moment. It's a movement. I'm like, okay, I'm in. And it was literally those words that kind of resonated in my mind. That kept me in. Because sometimes I think, why am I here? I'm not qualified. I'm just not qualified. I'm so simple in my thinking. Like, I don't, like when you're doing a party building, you have to think about the rules. You got to think about bylaws and charters and how meetings flow and all these other things that I never took into consideration. And you all do it so well that I'm like, I don't think I'm going to fit in. And I fit in just perfectly fine. And that's a testament to everybody else there because you guys don't go to these meetings. I can ask some real questions, be like, is that girl got her head on straight? Because she doesn't know that 2 + 2 is 4. Don't shake your head, yes.
So I just mean, I would just create a space that, you can ask questions.
So I want to publicly thank the committee for kind of putting up with me because I'm like, well, wait a minute, I don't understand. It seems like I'm always saying, I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. And the patience that you all have had with me saying, I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm just going to always be appreciative of it.
Well, I mean, you're not the only one. I've had to learn a lot of this myself, and many people at the Washington level have had to step away from this at the after the campaign because it is a lot. It is a huge commitment to get this to create a political party. So, it's a process, and we're not really expecting everybody to, be bringing, 50 years of party building experience. It's not really possible because it's, we have two parties that you either associate with or you're not allowed to really, you're kind of locked out of political system.
Exactly. And here's the thing that I heard on another podcast, which I won't name because then I'll go into my other rant. It was saying basically you can't win outside the two-party system. And what's the point of running as a third-party candidate? And after my, this sounds like, let me set up this question. So the mayor race in New York City, Zohran Mamdani won the primary. And everybody's all excited about it because finally New York may be getting a progressive. And I still contend no, this guy is still a Democrat. He's still working within a two-party system. It would be better if he had ran as a third-party candidate because New York City in the primaries has something called ranked choice voting, which allowed him to win the primary in the first place. But the overall arching point of what this person was saying was third-party candidates can't win. I don't know why that statement just really got me frustrated. It really got me angry. Why do you think that third party candidates can win? Or do you think that third party candidates can win?
Well, in my mind, it's about the being able to have that infrastructure to support a candidate, and I don't see why only the Democrats and Republicans should have a monopoly on that ability. And I mean, most people are independent as far as I'm concerned. Maybe they vote
And I would think,
Democrat.
I know when people say they're independent, they tend to vote within the two party system because of how the media has propagandized the whole thing. And really, when people say they're independent, they end up voting for those two parties because that's like nobody has enough time to pay attention. So that's what I think is part of it. But I've always said this, if, especially the Democrats, if third parties weren't a threat, why do you waste so much money in courts to keep third ballot candidates off the ballots? Like you're spending all this money. You say we can't win, right? Because that's what you're saying. But then you spend all of this money saying, oh, they can't win. Why don't you just ignore us then and just go about your business?
I would say the same thing. I mean, I don't understand why we can have a thousand options for cereal and cars, but we can only have two options for a political party, which both those options converge pretty much and become synonyms at a certain level. When there might be some differences, but
Right, right.
I just
I don't know what's wrong with my end, but you keep going in and out on my end. Let me check my internet connection because it has been spot. Nope, it's pretty strong. Um, it's like but Windra says that your sound and visual are fine on her end. Um, but for some reason on mine it's not. I don't know what's happening, but we'll get around it. Nelson says, and hello, cousin Nelson, seeing what disaster the Trump administration is doing to the country, we need to fight for truth and justice party for goodness sake. Absolutely. And Tim is in the house. It says share, subscribe, share, comment. Thank you very much. But I think the word, and I've always asked this question. I always mean to ask this question to my guests, and I never have asked it before because one, I always forget, and two, I never know how to structure this question. But I noticed that when you say that you're a third party candidate, especially to the vote blue no matter who crowd, they seem to get really angry. I mean, they're just like, it's to the point where people are starting to blame third party voters for this past election, even if you counted independent votes, Kamala wasn't going to win anyway, but somehow it has fell back to let's blame the third parties for what has happened instead of, hey, why don't we pay attention to the fact that egg prices are too high or that we have no medical care? Nope, we'll just blame the independents. We'll blame third party voters. That's what we'll do. It's just such a cop out, but to me, people are buying into it, and I don't know why. I don't know why people are buying into it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with. It does seem to be the Democrats that have a bigger issue. I think the Republicans just think that they can weaponize third parties to be a counterforce against Democrats. So they're either a little bit more.
And keep in mind this: it was not the Republican Party did not sue the Libertarian Party to keep them off the ballot. You never, as a matter of fact, say what you want about Trump. And yes, I got a lot of bad things I could say about him. He did go to the Libertarian Convention. I didn't see Kamala going to, well, we didn't have a party at the time. I didn't see her going to the Green Party convention. I didn't see her making a case. It's instead, well, she's taking my votes. First of all, votes don't belong to you, they're earned. And secondly, well, that's my point. Votes don't belong to you. I think to me, it's arrogance. It's like they think they deserve, like they're just entitled to my vote, and you're not. You don't work for it. You haven't done anything to earn it, especially as a Black person. What am I voting for you for? You don't advocate for me. You use the pain of my community to advance your political objective.
Well, you're saying is there just wasn't a platform was the whole point, not to relitigate 2024, but it does seem it's just revisionist if they're not. I mean, the Supreme Court talks about how much they study history, but there seems to be a specific history that they've kind of invented in their minds instead of the actual history that we remember. The whole reason the Democrats didn't win is people just didn't want to vote for them. Yeah, like you're saying, it just, you can't blame it on the third parties. It's this kind of, double-edged sword or something where we're both so powerful we can destabilize the Democratic Party, but not powerful enough to even barely advocate for anything that was in that platform. We spend so much time to just saying, hey, we can build our own political project that we're not even allowed to actually do the part that matters, where we're actually having an impact and we're having to spend millions of dollars in litigation just to stay on the ballot, which of course is not affordable. So, and they know that, like you're saying. I mean,
yeah, but that's the whole point. Keep them in court so they can't hire volunteers to go out to canvass. That's the whole point of them doing it. It's almost brilliant. If I'm just thinking about being the other side, it's kind of a brilliant tactic. You keep them in court, you keep them bogged down in legalities so they don't have time to campaign. It kind of sort of makes sense, and I think we need to be prepared for that. So now we're going to turn to my favorite topic. The midterms are coming up 2026. And here comes my plea. So 2026 is coming up, which leads to 2028. I know there's a lot of people out here that think we're not going to have elections. Poo. Yes, we are. We will definitely have a presidential election in 2028. I'm putting my money on it. I'm putting my whole check on it. We will have an election in 2028, and we will have midterms in 2026. Here comes my question. I don't think the Democrats are going to win at all. I literally don't. I can't see them winning back the House. I don't see it. Maybe I'm just misreading it, but I just see this as a party that does nothing. They don't put up a fight. They don't want to put up a fight. As a matter of fact, they're talking about Medicaid cuts, and they forgot that Biden cut people from it's like all of a sudden they just forgot that the Biden administration cut people from Medicaid. Like they just forgot. And I think what's going to happen, how can I say this? I'll rephrase my question. What can we do to prepare ourselves for either 2026 in terms of running local candidates, and especially 2028 when we're gearing up for another presidential election? I'll ask the question in that way instead of the way I was going to set it up.
At the basic level, just organizing and getting a group of volunteers who would want to support a candidate. And, it's really that simple. I mean, you're going to have to pay for the pay for the campaign if you want to go that route. But at the basic level, it's just you have to find someone that you really agree with their policies and then support them. And I mean that most run for, there's a lot of independent candidates, and you can have those conversations with them, and you just go from there. It's different for every state, so it's hard to kind of provide a one size fits all solution. But at the basic level, it's
Well, you're right, because ballot access, which I'm going to have a real deep dive into ballot access. That's the, well, no one backtrack. Money in politics is the core of the problem. Why third party candidates can't win. Because we just get our fundraise. I mean, the Harris campaign raised $2 billion and, by the way, still lost. It had Trump up at the hundreds, almost close behind at half that. We can't outraise the two parties. And that's the root of all of our problems in terms of how legislation flows or doesn't flow, because you have Congress people that aren't even writing laws themselves. Lobbyists are writing laws. It's not your congressperson that you're sending that writes those laws. So I like to think ahead and say, hey, yes, recruitment is important, but what I want to get to or get at is like, how do we do that? Right? Because it's not like we got millions of dollars to recruit volunteers. Basically, we're on a $0 budget. Like, basically, we have $0 to spend. So, how do we recruit those volunteers? Is it tabling at events? Is it using social media? Is it, I don't know, making QR codes and just taking to the streets? I don't know what that is. And I kind of would like to hear it, especially not just your thoughts, but the people who's watching thoughts. Because I've been thinking a lot about this. I'm like, how do you recruit volunteers? Because I've just ran out of ideas. I just like literally I'm stumped.
well if we're talking specifically of Justice for All party in the various states, getting people to volunteer for the Justice for All party, I would argue that you have to have a set of values that you advocate for, and some policies that you are advocating for that people can get behind, and move from that to supporting a candidate. Because people are very cynical when it comes to politics for very good reason, and they need to see that you're actually going to fight for their cause, and if they're going to get involved. So I would say that you got to have some pretty solid asks. You got to have something concrete that they can participate in, but not like devote their entire life to. If something too big of a project is just going to get people disinterested. So you do have to have some pretty concrete ideas there, and just talk about. I mean, it's just like local policies that maybe some bill changed, and people are just fed up with that, and they just want to get it amended or revoked or whatever it is, and kind of start there, because you don't.
I think because you're still coming out. I think this issue where you're going in and out is on my end. So this is what I'm going to do, guys. Ashton, don't go anywhere. I'm going to refresh my screen while we're here live. Nobody go anywhere. No, nobody goes anywhere. 2 minutes is all I need. I'm going to try this on my end and see if I'm the problem. Okay, I'm back. So it looks like that may have worked. Um, can you now hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Great.
me?
Okay, that may have worked because I'm like, okay. So I'm sorry if I lost people's comments. I'm gonna catch up. Rude, by the way, says people interested in running for justice for all candidates should absolutely join us for a Zoom call. Why should I run? That was the announcement. Thank you. He beat me to it. So August the 15th, you all have made the running joke that I should run for office. And I'm saying absolutely positively not. However, if you are interested in running for office, um, I and other people who may or may not run for office are having a meeting. So, in other words, we'll be in there and you all will tell us why we should run. It's August the 15th. It's for basically saying, why should I run? But I'm opening up to anybody that's running for any justice for all office, period. I'll put up the link next week. I won't do it this week because we got a ton of announcements, but keep that date. Thank you for reminding me of that, Timothy, because I would have totally forgotten it. And then it says it's exactly what Ashton said. We won't be easily pulled to a party, but we are hungry for action. Give us something to fight for. Then Winter says, I bet on revolution before 2028. The BBB, I don't know what that stands for. Rescinded laws of Congress passed in 2019 prohibiting the federal government from sending a penny of harassing or prosecuting legitimate cannabis business in legal states. Yeah, so that was one of our announcements. Oh, the big beautiful. Okay, I forgot that's what that mess was called. Cause I've been calling it the big poo 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 bill. Like he just hope people are stupid enough to forget it, Bill. Like I've given it every other name. Thank you. I was like the BBB. I don't know what that means. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Here's another thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know why it's so hot in here because I got my air conditioner off and it's 85 degrees and I don't want to turn my fan on because it'll make sound. When party building, there's a lot of things, and I said this before earlier, that I don't know. I knew picking the convention committee was going to make the most sense for me. I have I have event planning, I have an event planning background. The rules committee, that wouldn't have made sense for me. That wouldn't, the rules committee, the bylaws, the other ones that I forget, treasurer, nope. Not good at math, nope. How did you pick being on the archives committee? Because I can't remember whether you picked it or was it picked for you.
I ran for the archives secretary position, and I'm on the rules committee and the finance and budget committee. And I chose the archive secretary because I've been doing that already. I think it feels like nearly 2 years of being involved with this kind of stuff. About 2 months away from that, so I just I had already been involved in that, and I wanted to sharpen that skill and get have more of a knowledge base about what the expectations are and making that accessible to people and making it easier for people to understand what happened in the meetings for that specifically. And then I joined the rules committee for the same sorts of reasons. Is like I want to have a rule set that is accessible to people. It's not going to use too much complicated language, and really my idea is that anybody anywhere can look at it and understand how the organization works and just get started, and leaving enough room for them to have their own approaches at the at the local level or at the various standing committees. So we've designed the bylaws so that the standing committees pass their own bylaws that are, they can make any kind of decision they want. We're pretty hands off in that way. So that's the way I like it, because I would hope to create a space where people want to bring their expertise in organizing. I'm not trying to tell everybody that this is the one way of doing things, and if you don't do it this way, it's not compatible. So I try to keep that space open. And then finance and budget committee, I study economics in my personal life. That's one of the things I do. So finance and budget seems pretty obvious for me to get involved in that as just continuing that pursuit of knowledge. So
yeah, you're much better because I'm like, y'all would have kicked me off the rules committee, be like, go away. Because I've been like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I think it was actually Windra that said, oh, you should be in the convention committee. Because I was talking about my background in terms of event planning. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should. And that's how I just got started. But I think the important thing we want to say is to everybody out there watching, identify the talents that you have. I'm 100% certain that Justice for All Party can put those talents to use. I'm 100% positive. Ashton has the technical aspects and the financial aspects, and I have the not pie in the sky, but I'm more the dreamer. I can see the overall picture. I can see, streamers and parties and all of those things that help build a party. Your talent is needed. Absolutely. And that's what I really want to convey in this podcast and going forward is your talent is really needed. So never feel like, oh, well, don't do what I did and say that you're not smart enough to do something. Trust me, you showing up makes you a smart person. The fact that you have a concern makes you a smart person. So never, ever think that, well, I have this skill and it can't be you. We can use your skill. Trust me. Trust and believe we absolutely can use your skill. When do your because the archives, there's no committee for that. You're just the archive secretary, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you're also on the finance committee. Talk about, because I want to hit this fundraiser that's coming up. Talk about what the finance committee does.
Well, for full disclosure, the finance committee hasn't met at this time because we've met as the executive committees met, and the rules committee was tasked with getting the bylaws passed so that we could have that available to the finance committee. But yeah, at the basic level, the finance committee and budget committee is to keep track of donations. The treasurer and the deputy treasurer are they have to be on that committee, and so they're tasked with FEC compliance and keeping track of the budgets and issuing budgets and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the basics of it. So yeah, we would have to decide, how much money we would want to allocate to the convention committee, for example, and that sort of thing.
Very important. Mark this date down. Yes, I'm going to talk about this date ad nauseum. The people who are on my mailing list, y'all gonna get this every other. I'm telling you now, I'm going to do this. So mark your calendar, Saturday, August the 30th, 6 p.m. We are having, and I'm preparing for a 3-hour show. 3-hour show, $25,000 in one evening, August the 30th at 6 p.m., not 7, 6 p.m. We have 2 people that are signed up, and we need more. So if you sing, play an instrument, read a poem, stand on one hand, you juggle, you tell jokes, you do makeup well, you paint, you sculpt, it does not matter. We need your talent for this. We need your talent. So go and fill out the link. It's right there. I'm going to keep it up for a while so you can get a pencil and a piece of paper and write that down and fill out the form, because this is an all hands on deck situation, right? I don't want to be this person that begs for money because I don't like to do it, but no political party can run without funds. We don't take money from corporate interests. We don't take money from APAC, big pharma, big tech, big anything. We get our money at the grassroots. So if you have any kind of talent, I don't care what it is, any type of talent, fill out that form and get it signed up for it, because we definitely need your help. And okay, so far we got artist Bernie, who's been coming to the convention committees. He signed up, and he is a sinker/poet. So he's going to do some really interesting stuff. And we have Philip Sears, and I'm not going to tell what Philip's going to do because I want y'all to be surprised. I promised him, I said, I will not tell what you're going to do. So you're going to have to actually watch that show. So those are the two that we have signed up for. We need at least 4 more. If we could get 4 more, that would be a good event. I mean, it's going to be good anyway. I'm going to be there. But I'm just saying, you got something, be a part of that. And then we're going to go back to Winter said, open the doors for ICE and the National Guard to switch from chasing workers through strawberry fields to cannabis ops here in Ventura County, which I'm going to just assume is in California. I'm going to assume that Ventura is in California. Is there a JFA Washington?
Yeah, so we're not an official FEC recognized party here in Washington. We are a political committee. So we got 8 of the volunteers from the Cornell West campaign still working together and still meeting. But yes, we're not officially FEC regulated party.
Yeah, well, there's only 2, right? There's North Carolina and the other one. Like the other one. Oh.
It's hard to keep track, but yeah, and it's a process for every single one, and it's not. I mean, it's pretty. At some level, it's easy. Like in Washington, you could. I think it's like $100 around that, and then you have to have a chairman, a secretary, and a treasurer, and a political committee, and you're really done when you've filed the proper paperwork. So and it's the same way everywhere else, where like just do the basic mechanics of a party.
They make being a political party easy, but what they don't make easy is getting on the ballot. Because when I heard you guys had 1,000, I'm like, I could get 1,000 in my sleep. Let me do that. I could do that all by myself. Until I heard what you all had to do, I'm like, oh, no, wait a minute. Let me shut up. You have to, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you actually have to tell, like, the election board where you're going to be gathering petitions at.
Yeah.
I've never heard. I'm like, so you can't go door to door?
Yeah, that was a whole thing. I just can't believe
why don't
that.
y'all just say, hey, we don't want y'all on the ballot. We just don't even bother. Just don't.
And I mean, just to bring like that point specifically, I mean, that's why I just think that it's important to emphasize the need for third parties and independent overall is just all this red tape. It's just, I mean, and this stuff is just ridiculous. It's financially, it's really impossible at this time when we're talking about, the big, beautiful bill, like just ruining everyone's, I mean, all the legislation at this point is just an assault on the American people. And then on top of that, you're supposed to somehow find enough money to get on the ballot to run some specific candidate it's really, it's doable, and we did it, but yeah, it's it's not a small chunk of change to like keep doing that.
Because I heard 1,000. I'm like, y'all got to be joking. Because in Indiana, we have, and I still know this number to be exact, 37,963 signatures. Because what Indiana does, it bases how many signatures you have to gather based off of 2% of whatever the Secretary of State total is. So we had to hope nobody shows up for the election. We had to hope for a low voter turnout, which is not what we want, ideally, right? And then our election board, they petty. You got to have your T's crossed, and they give you this little bitty space to write, knowing you can't fill it in. And then it's like, okay, they look for any excuse to throw out signatures, but yet and still we're not quitting, right? We're going to keep coming and keep coming.
Yeah, I think this is one of the problems. Like, it's this conflation of, like, if you don't get on the ballot, you don't win the election, then it's all for nothing. And I mean, at that standard, then like no sports team should ever play. It's like, well, the one person wins the NFL, then everyone else just disbands and then never does anything else with their life. So at the very basic level, you're building the infrastructure. You're building a bunch of people that you can work with, who have shared political interests, who want to support the same candidate, and that it's a long-term thing. And if you can get on the ballot, that's awesome. And you can actually start a party, that's awesome. And you can keep working on that. But I think the notion of just, you can't, it's not like a possibility today to do this, then you shouldn't ever do it. I mean, and the election in New York is just a perfect example. Nobody, like, the entire Democratic establishment, Chuck Schumer, all the rest, they came down hard on him. And I mean, I can't believe they did actually say the things they did, but
I can. See, I can.
Mean, yeah.
I mean, literally, I'm like, yep. Because it's not about, and trust me, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a fan of the DSA. I'm not, for several reasons. I don't like the way they talk at Black people. I don't never see Black people in their means. And when I don't see nobody look like me, I'm going to look at you real side eye like, okay, I don't see nobody. And I'm not talking about that one Black person in the back holding up a sign. I need to see him front and center. And you could be building towards that. But I have my own suspicions of DSA, including you're still Democrats. You're still supporting a party that supports genocide. I can't reconcile the difference. And to look at the Zoran thing, he's not really, I mean, if he were running for mayor in Indianapolis, I probably would vote for him, even though that would mean I'm voting Democrat, and I'm just like, well, I don't want to. He's not really as leftist as I would personally. I'm like, the stuff he's saying is so simple. It's like, freeze the rent. And you hear two Fox commentators, well, I can't eat at my favorite steakhouse. Sir, people have problems paying their rent. You really gonna sit here and complain you can't eat at, really?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's like, as a candidate, I think it's fantastic Democratic candidate. If I was going to vote a Democrat, I would vote for him. But like you're saying, I don't think if you're in the Democratic Party, I don't think that you could really use the term progressive. And it's, as you're saying, it's, we're not, it's like it's such basic stuff. It's such table stakes things that we're like 2 years in, and we're still arguing about these things that we thought we'd just get this, over with. I mean, like, they still, like, even Bernie Sanders won't call, the situation in Gaza genocide. I mean, at this level, like, they say war or a humanitarian catastrophe, just call it a genocide. The entire world is already figured that out by now. So
no, he'll go to the Israel has a right to defend themselves. When I hear that sentence, I'm like, okay, I'm done with you. Bye. I hear nothing else that you're saying. Nobody is saying Hamas is a great. Nobody that says that what Israel is doing is wrong. Oh, somebody wants to know. Kay Hopkins wants to know what DSA is. So it's the Democratic Socialists of America. That's what DSA stands for. Now, if they wanted to, create their own party, okay, that I'm for. Because I think we need as many third parties as possible. I still think we need more of them. But the fact that they operate under the guidelines of being Democrats, and Democrats openly are like, no, give Israel more money. I can't. It bothers me. It bothers me. It bothers me. And like I said, it's not like he's out here saying things like, I would say, free housing for everybody, or $27. Well, he did say $30 minimum wage. So I'll give him that. He did say $30 minimum wage for New Yorkers. And I don't know what the minimum wage in New York is right now, but he did say that. So, but I'm like, the little things he wants, it seems like they're so against the basic affordable child care, free bus ride. Who's against getting workers to their jobs free of charge? They're going to spend the money that they save on some. Say government ran grocery stores. There are government ran grocery stores, right? He's not saying something crazy like, hey, let's open up a weed shop and I'll fund them. They're acting like he's just like some evil jihadist communist that's anti-Semitic. I'm like, yeah, what they're doing to him doesn't shock me in the least. I'm surprised they haven't put on an ad commercial. That's what I'm surprised about.
Yeah.
And the fact that Eric Adams is still running, boy, if you don't sit yourself down somewhere.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said. I shouldn't have. I'm not.
Yeah,
it's just their playbook.
I'm like, let me just, because I'm just like, but he's not saying nothing extreme would be extreme. I can't even think of something that I really believe that's extreme, because I know all the things I believe is what people want. Affordable housing, although I still say free, that's probably the most radical thing I believe in. I don't believe there should be publicly owned utility companies. Utilities like gas, water, electric, that should be ran by the government. Nobody should get their utility. That might be, if he was saying that, that's a radical idea, because nobody's ever heard of that, right? We've always had utility companies. We've always had to pay our light bill, our gas bill, our water bill to someone. And to never turn those off, that's radical. He's not saying that. He's saying, oh, have free bus rides. And y'all call him a jihadist. Really?
Yeah, I mean, just the thinking here in Seattle, I mean, just public transportation and, paying for parking, all the rest of it is like everybody wants to go downtown, but like you can't afford to get downtown. So like this idea of a free, people don't even pay the bus fare anyway. I mean, wasn't that the whole thing in New York where it was like months ago where they, some person didn't pay their bus fare, and then that was like a big thing.
I think that's the subway. I think he's talking about
subway.
The bus.
Right.
Yeah, he's talking about the physical buses, not the subway.
That would make sense. But I mean, yeah, it's just it seems table stakes. But I don't understand. Like, people see how the Democratic Party treats him, and then they're so enthusiastic, but then they won't want to build a different way of getting on the ballot. And I don't understand it really. I have the same mentality of you as I think there should be a lot of third parties. And I think we should work to lower the thresholds for ballot access, how much it costs, and so that people can have the right of political assembly. I thought that was one of the things that we cared about. It's if you don't agree with the Justice for All project and you don't like what our politics are, then I'm still advocating that you start your own, at least political organization of some sort that doesn't have to, hitch your wagon to the duopoly. And I just, at this time, I don't understand how
Hold on. Here's the only
go ahead.
problem I have with that. Of course, everybody who's lived under the rock, Elon Musk has decided to start the America Party. Now, somebody out there thinking it's a third party. Elon has something we don't. Billions of dollars. See, he's got all the money we don't. That's the only cautionary tale I want to throw down.
Okay, everybody but Elon Musk.
Yes, I am, because I'm like,
and that's another thing where, again, like we're having the criticism coming down as a ton of bricks that should be focused at the Republican Party, should be focused at the Democrats, should be focused at the billionaires, but instead people focus it on a minor party that is just trying to get some political organization off the ground. And so it's just like we're to the point that we're destabilizing the democracy. We got Trump elected as the narratives out there, and then Elon Musk could just, I guess I'll start a party, and then he could just burn money. He could burn billions of dollars.
He could literally burn billions of dollars. Ballot access, that means nothing to him. He could literally hire people in states to get ballot access. Wait a minute. Here we go. So Democrats have to paint more left-leaning parties. Democrats have to paint the more left-leaning parties as un-American so they don't have to say, we're against reducing the cost of living for the working class. If they just said we're for reducing the cost of the working class, I'd be like, you know what, support that, Democrat. But they say exactly what you're saying. They don't come out and say they're against the working class, but everything they do says that they're against the working class. And everybody, I want y'all to get y'all thinking caps on, because I promised a book giveaway. So I have bought, or going to buy, 2 copies of Dr. West's new book, Democracy Matters. One for myself and one to give away. And I kept thinking, what should be the question? Ashton, you cannot answer this question. I don't think. So I want you to listen closely. The Justice is Here podcast is a spinoff of what podcast? The Justice is Here podcast is a spinoff of what podcast? Yeah, I'm going to make it real hard. I don't think anybody's going to get this right. And I mean, you got to get all parts of it exactly right. I don't think anybody's going to do it. I literally don't think you all know the answer to this one. I'm going to ask the question one more time because I literally don't see anything in the comments. The Justice is Here podcast is a spinoff of what podcast? I don't think anybody knows. Now, I'll give Ashton a hint. You appeared on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Well, wait a minute. I am wrong because the right answer is in the comments. That is exactly not correct. You got the words correct, but not in the right order. So your guess, you are very, 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 very close. You are so, like, if you switched around some things, you would be like right on it. But you are like, you're 95% there. But I want the exact name of the podcast. Like I said, you're close, but you're not there yet. So I'll give it one more time. Justice is Here is a spinoff of what podcast? This is not the right answer, but I'm telling y'all, he's real close. Like, he's like right on it. Or I was going to ask how many times Now, here it is. Okay, now he's got it. That is the correct answer. Congratulations, 47th President. That is the correct answer. Tell me you know what to do. You know my email address. Send that email, send your address, and you'll be getting a copy of Democracy Matters. You have won the contest. That is the name of the podcast.
Congratulations.
And think about it, that's a long title. Yeah, that's literally called that. I was like, oh, congratulations. Like, yep, he gonna win. Yep, he got it. I was all confident in everything about it.
I like the title. You got to start strong like that. But it's also a great book. And I'm happy that the people are going to get to read that.
Yep. So Tim, send me your address. I will put a copy in the mail for you. You won. Because I was going to ask, and I may do 2 copies. So Tim, you won 1. I'm going to do another one. Speaking of Dr. West, and Ashton, you could jump in on this one. How many times have I interviewed Dr. West?
I would answer. I already own the book, so I won't.
Oh, you already own it. Okay. Now we know I've interviewed him once on this show, Justice for Here. Okay, so Tim, you are a fan. Like, you are a super fan. You can't win 2 copies of the book, but that is the right answer. I have interviewed Dr. West 3 times. First time he was on the show, he couldn't stay, but we interviewed him. I interviewed him like for 45 minutes to maybe 50. Second time, he stayed for like an hour and 30. And then the third time he was on this show, Pot Justice. You are a fan of the show. I'm you know what? I'm done. You can't get 2 books. So instead, Nelson also is right. So Tim, since you won 1 book, I'm going to give the other to Nelson if Nelson is willing to email me, and I'll stick my email in here. If you send an email to there, I'll send you a book. Yeah, I've got 2. You know what? I don't have a whole lot of fans, but them 2 I know as fans, they hit it. They hit it right on the button. I was like, nobody gonna get this. Boom, bam. Thank you, ma'am. I don't know what this is. Me, Humbro, no.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that the book's really great because it just really shows the conservative point of view, Cornel West's point of view, and really weighs the differences and the similarities in a very philosophical way. You're going to get some good references, and the whole subtext is, that you can have dialogue with people that you disagree with, but you could still, use that to progress what you want to see out of politics and philosophy and all the rest of it, so.
And I said I was gonna have a personal development story. I'm gonna make y'all wait till tomorrow because it doesn't have to do with this show, and I try to keep this show on Justice for Here. So last question of the evening. I have stopped asking people why they come onto the podcast. Now I know, because basically I just bug y'all to death and y'all be like, I'm going to shut her up. I'm going to shut her up. If you were going to tell people one thing about why they should support Justice for All, whether financially, whether by volunteering, or just learning more about the party, what would you tell them?
I would say, what I've gotten out of it is we're all looking for a political home outside of the corporate duopoly, and we want to really have our voices heard and make progress on the issues that matter for us. And for me, that's what this space has been for nearly 2 years, and it's been the same for many people throughout the movement. And I would just say I would hope that you get the same thing out of it. and that we can enable that to we can enable you to either find your place in our organization or continue to develop your own politics and have your own organization. And
except for Elon Musk.
Except for Elon Musk.
Like, no, Elon, stay in your lane. No. So I want to thank everybody, especially with the issues I had. Once I refreshed it, I didn't have anything. So I guess the problem was on my end. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Tune in tomorrow for Tracy's Week in Review, where I promise I will have that personal development announcement that I will have. It's a huge thing for me. I've been wanting to do this for years and years and years and years and years and years. I'm really, really excited about what I'm about to walk into. Doesn't have anything to do with politics. I will tell you all that. Hint, my show, Tracy is here. No, Tracy is here. Goodness gracious. Tracy's Week in Review comes on Sundays at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where, of course, I will be talking about the BBB. Now that I know that's a big, beautiful bill, because literally I've talked it every other thing. Of course, I will be talking about Elon's new political party and what a joke I think it is. And I may have a t-shirt giveaway, but I don't know. So to the two people that gave me the correct answers, be sure to send your address. I will not show up to your house. I will just ship you a copy of the book so that you can have it. If you have it and don't want it, just let me know. Thank you, Ashton, for coming in. As always, thank you for your support of this podcast by telling other people to like it. Everybody, I'm going to take us down. I'm going to do our outro. I will see you tomorrow. And remember to visit justiceforall.us. Justiceforall.us. One more time. Justiceforall.us is the website. Have a great evening, everybody.